Welcome to Veganism, Return to the Garden of Eden. Interview with Rabbi Akiva Gersh, Vegan, Part 1 of 2.
I believe that there's an urgent need for change in the Jewish community and in the world. I really see veganism as one of the most important issues of our time, because what we eat and how we eat and the food choices that we make are impacting almost every single level, realm, sector of life, of the planet, of reality. And that's why I focus on it so much, because I feel like if we could really put our heart and our soul into what we're eating, that heart awareness and that soul attention into what we're eating and make those proper changes, we could literally change the world. And we could also avert major disaster in this world. There's an ancient teaching in Judaism that says, if not me, then who? And if not now, then when? So it's us and it's now.
These are the inspirational words of Rabbi Akiva Gersh, vegan, a passionate educator, writer, and compassionate leader, originally from New York, USA. At the age of 19, God awakened him to the suffering of the animal people and the destruction to the environment caused by the animal people industry, leading him to change to the vegan diet. His life's journey later took him to Israel, the birthplace of Judaism, where he currently resides. This awakening of his eyes, mind, and heart led to his work as a devoted Jewish educator on the connection between Judaism, the environment, animal welfare, and veganism, which has touched the hearts of thousands of students worldwide. Over the past 20 years, the dedicated rabbi has gathered a wealth of Jewish holy teachings which support the plant-based diet and animal welfare to show people that Judaism has supported compassion for all beings since ancient times. Inquisitive viewers, let us start with some Jewish spiritual gems which Rabbi Akiva Gersh shares with us on why we should follow the heaven-made vegan diet.
There's 4 major reasons from a Jewish perspective to be vegan today. First one is a law called Tsar Baalei Chaim, which is a law from the Torah that you're not allowed to cause pain and suffering to animals. How are the animals being raised? What are the conditions in which they're being raised, in which they're living? And we all know they're horrendous, they're horrible, they're embarrassing that we as humans would do such a thing to other godly creatures. So that's against the Torah, this pain and suffering. That's number 1. Number 2 is another law called Bal Tashchit, which is basically not wasting resources. It's a very, very progressive law thousands of years ago, but being so careful and meticulous about how we use the resources that God put in this world. And of course, if you look at how animals are raised and the tremendous amount of water and food, which farms that are used to raise these animals, and all the pollution that is caused as a result to the air and to the water and to the soil, directly breaking a Torah commandment, Bal Tashchit. That's number 2. Number 3 is Shmirat HaGuf, keeping our own bodies healthy. And Judaism is very, very clear, and there's extensive laws about our own health in Jewish law. But if someone lives a life of eating a certain way that's very, very heavy on meat and dairy and eggs, the research has already been done that links that kind of living and that kind of eating to serious health issues and diseases. So and we have a mitzvah, we have a commandment from the Torah. God commanded us, take care of your bodies, right? Because I gave you the body so that your soul can be in the world and do what you came here to do. And the 4th reason is a spiritual reason. There's a lot of teachings in Judaism that emphasize our spiritual health. And within that, we are what we eat. And the food that we put into our bodies will affect our beings, our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, and our spiritual state. Everything that we eat has these sparks of holiness in them. And when we eat with proper intention and mindfulness, we elevate these sparks, we release these sparks, and this helps us spiritually fix the world.
Rabbi Gersh now expounds on the original diet of human beings, the plant-based diet in the Garden of Eden, as explained in the book of Genesis.
So there's a prophecy that talks about animals being peaceful with one another. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 29, the very first diet given to humanity, to Adam and Eve specifically, but it's for all of humanity, was a purely plant-based diet. And that was a diet that continued even after they were kicked out of the Garden of Eden and lasted all the way until after the flood in the generation of Noah. So the first diet given to humanity, given in the Garden of Eden, was a purely vegan diet. Right? It was prohibited for humans to kill animals for food. And in Judaism, there's this idea that really all of the spiritual work that we're doing in this world is to return to the level of consciousness that we had originally in Garden of Eden before that first sin.
This noble Jewish goal of returning to our original spiritual consciousness continues to this day.
So if we are trying to return to the Garden of Eden, doesn't it make sense that we're also going to return to that diet? And if the Garden of Eden was this idealistic, perfect kind of world, and God gave us a plant-based diet there, doesn't that tell us something about what kind of diet we should be eating today? So that's one major teaching. And there are rabbis throughout the generations who, in a very strong manner, really talked down on killing animals for meat. And one of the most recent rabbis who really strongly and vividly talked about this was actually the very first chief rabbi of the modern state of Israel. His name was Rabbi Avram Yitzchak Kook. And he wrote a lot about animal welfare. And the question is, like, how can we imagine that we're not going to return to this diet one day? Right? If it was such a beautiful and moral, idealistic way of being. And he, amongst other rabbis, really talked down in very strong language about what we do with animals and how we, kill them for our food, how morally degraded that is.
With his deep knowledge of Judaism, the benefits of veganism, and the perils of animal people flesh eating to the environment, the compassionate rabbi, through patience and love, shares with us how he conveys this information to people everywhere.
I really feel sharing about it, talking about it in a loving way, as much as possible, in a non-harsh way, in a non-judgmental way. It's a tricky thing because we want this information to be out there. We want to share this information with people, this truth. And we want to inspire people to at least think about it. And of course, ideally change. I have a friend who just recently told me, he's like, you know what? I've been eating a lot less meat and I'm like on my way to being vegan. And I said, that's amazing. That's amazing. So it's usually not an overnight thing. And we have to have patience, we have to have love, and sometimes it's hard because we want to, just shake people up and say, look what's happening and look what we're doing. But I think we have to have patience and that love, and hopefully that will help to open people's hearts. I like defending veganism from a Jewish perspective. That's my major challenge. They're my people, they're my nation. I love them so much to share my responses with them in a way that, one, will answer them, and two, hopefully inspire them to think more deeply about this.
Our immense gratitude to Rabbi Akiva Gersh, vegan, for sharing with us the Judaic teachings that emphasize the original intent of plant-based living. For more information, please visit akivagersh.com.
Yeah, continue with being non-vegan and making war, because otherwise, hells will be empty without you and all your followers.
Peace-loving viewers, thank you for your company today.